Okay, everyone, welcome. Get on in here. Does anyone follow Corporate Erin on TikTok? Does anyone know who that is? Because I want to do an impression of her, but it may be traumatizing for people. So Corporate Erin is this character by, a comedian, and it's a character based upon like the amalgamation and combination of every corporate manager you've ever had or worked for. And I've never really done corporate work. I've never had a corporate job, but like it seems like she's nailing it, and it's like so funny. But people will come on and just be like, "This is too real. I can't handle this." But it's always a Zoom meeting. She's like, "Come on, y'all, come on. It's 7:05. We're gonna get started." It's so funny. Anyway, it does. It triggers people. I find it funny because I've never been in that again in a corporate environment. Um, but anyway, I was just watching one of her TikToks right before. Uh, so anyway, okay. Great, everyone. Welcome to Medicine Buddha, Lama Rod. In case you're new, this is a guided practice session based upon the tradition and Tantra of Medicine Buddha. Um, and yeah, we've been in here doing this every Monday night in some capacity since the beginning of the quarantine in 2020. Um, and we're just still doing it because there's still COVID-19. So we promised as long as there's COVID, there'll always be Medicine Buddha. So there we go. So great. Please introduce yourself in the chat, um, particularly if you're new, but it doesn't matter if you're new or not. And let's see what else. So what I wanted to do tonight is just really get started with practice. And I want to really like actually just set aside as much time as possible at the end of practice for questions because I haven't really done questions in a while. So I think there's some questions that we can get to about the practice. Okay. Um, yeah, it's good to see Atlanta folks here. Um, Come on in. Recovering, come on in, this is the end of Q4, everyone. So I think I'm really happy with some of the projections that we've been able to meet in our practice. Some of you are really falling behind. And so we're going to be going into some review. So you'll be scheduling some individual review time with me to go over some of our practice, our practice projections. Uh, it's really how it is. Like she talks really fast. Like it's so funny. Oh my God. Anyway, you have to find your laughs somewhere these days. Right? Okay, one more minute or two. Oh, and please, yeah, go ahead and put a prayer on the prayer list as well. So take this minute or two that we have left before we get into practice. That would be good. Um, yeah. But I'm gonna just slowly start getting into practice. I know some of you are still getting settled and getting prayer requests posted. So first, just as like a pre-practice, um, just inviting you to allow your body to settle in whatever way seems appropriate for you. But as I think about it, in terms of like characters that I can do, I've been really thinking about um, like the stereotypical meditation teacher and like just doing a spoof of that because I have time. Apparently, I have some time to develop some new characters on top of everything else that's going on. Anyway, that's not the practice. What the practice is coming back to your body right now. Can you imagine if someone did a spoof of me? How random. Like, it's no way they can be as random as I am literally in person right now. Again, that's not the practice. I think you can just record this and put it up on TikTok as a spoof, and people are going to be like, oh, yeah, he's really acting. There's no way someone's leading a meditation, you know. But when I used to teach teen retreat, we would do this all the time, and they would be like, this is so not funny. You know how teens are. I was funny, actually. I think teenagers, just like they're just really intense. This generation is really intense. I get it. I get it. I was more concerned with like NSYNC and Britney Spears and Whitney Houston. They have to contend with, I don't know, climate instability and the end of capitalism. I get it. I totally get it. No, for real. No, for real. This is the practice. I took a nap before this as well, so I feel like I'm not like hating the world right now. So that's what you're also getting. I'm sorry for those of you who are new. This is pretty much what's going to happen throughout the whole hour and a half. So, this is what's being served. As my mama used to say, you can take it or leave it. If you don't like what's being served, go fix your own food. Anyhow, so coming back to the body, noticing the seat and how the seat is rising to hold you. And just, let's stay with this just for a moment. The sensation of being held by the seat. And particularly for those of us who haven't felt held or tended to today or recently, right? Just getting into this being held by the seat, feeling the seat rise, feeling your body surrender to the seat. And of course, you can adjust these instructions in a way that makes sense for you, right? And so just returning to or turning to for the first time our contemplation around intentions for our practice, right? Just reminding yourself that you're practicing to get free and to help others get free. And what that means is that we're practicing to reduce experiences of suffering for ourselves. And when we reduce suffering for ourselves, we, I think, very naturally begin to reduce suffering for others around us. So as we're practicing and beginning this practice, we're practicing on behalf of all beings right now, especially the beings who are struggling to get free from real life violence and harm right now. And, And who are you practicing for too, in case you haven't gone there yet in this reflection, but who do you want to dedicate your practice to? And really tangibly, and this is a practice that I am doing all the time. I probably haven't talked about it before, but I want to share it now. But like when I'm sitting at the beginning of practice, when I start dedicating the merit or the positive energy of my practice, right? I've taught this as the pre-dedication of merit. Like, let's dedicate the merit at the beginning, in case you forget at the end, right? But as I'm sitting and thinking about all the people that I'm practicing for, and I just imagine that whatever begins to be awakened, like I just feel it, even the little trickle right now of practice awakening, I imagine it just flowing into the experiences of those I'm practicing for. And of course, you can imagine practicing for everyone, all beings, in all the worlds, right? And you can also streamline that practice to people that we're really kind of like working for and rooting for right now. Right? People that we're worried for and are anxious about. That whatever begins to spark begins to flow out to the people who need it. And with this kind of practice, you are really moving energy. You are shifting energy. Right? So whenever you're ready, I invite you to shift your attention to your spine, so your back. So as we've talked about before, how the central channel or the Uma in Tibetan Buddhism, um, how the Uma, like Uma Thurman, like so how the Uma is, and she was named after the Uma, by the way. But anyway, that's another story. So the central channel, right, runs parallel with the spine. And some people believe that the central channel, the Uma, is in the spine, like it's the spinal cord itself, or it's beside it or in front of it. Like no one really knows for sure. I like to think of the central channels running within the vertebrae of the spine, or it encompasses the spine itself, right? But again, we're talking about how multiple dimensions of body can manifest in one place. So the energy body, the physical body, are manifesting in the same space and time, but different dimensions, different frequencies, maybe, right? But turning your attention to the spine, and I invite you to imagine that you're breathing up and down the spine, right? So as you inhale, it's as if you're inhaling up the spine and going up to the top of the head, right? Is what we believe the Uma comes out, right? So inhaling up, and then as we exhale, exhaling down the spine to the tailbone. And this can be a calming breath. It can begin to kind of calm the nervous system as well. But just a gentle, easy breath. If you're not working with the breath, no problem. Just return back to the seat, the anchor of the seat. So if you are working with the breath, again, breathing up and down. So it's like we're breathing up and down the Uma itself. And you can deepen the breath as well. You can really elongate both the inhale and the exhale, taking your time to move your awareness up the spine, and then exhaling down, again, taking your time. And again, whatever benefit that you're getting from this, again, just tuning back into how you're letting this benefit flow, this energy flow to those who need it. So maybe as you stabilize, you're sharing the energy of stabilization with others. I think just a little bit longer. So breathing, if you are breathing, and also touching into the seats. So feeling the grounding of the seats, the weight of the body as you're moving up and down, like the central column or the spine, or however you think about it right now. So when you're ready, we're going to start just coming back to a natural breath. As we move deeper into the practice, I invite you to shift your attention into the space around you. So you don't, if your eyes are closed, don't, it's not about opening your eyes, but just shifting awareness to begin to, well, to become aware of the space around you, right? The room or the space that you're in. And in the space around you, I invite you to call in to the space your homecoming circles, or just all of your benefactors, all the beings who love you, who want you to be free. Right? And again, you don't have to know who these beings are, right? But in our practice right now in your space, you just say welcome. I invite every being in the universe who loves me to come here and to hold the space for me as we enter into relationship with Medicine Buddha. And just noticing if you feel the presence or arrival, particularly for those of you who are new in the practice of benefactors and homecomings. Like, I'm just curious if you feel the space opening up with the presence and the deep care of all the beings who love us. Because the point of the practice of the seven homecomings and benefactor practice like this is to always feel this kind of connection. No matter where you go, and especially if you go into places where you're not being loved and cared for, like, I don't know, the corporate office, right? Right? Like, can you move to those spaces saying, you know what, I am surrounded by beings who love me? So feeling that awakening of beings, of energy. And as these beings gather, in a way, we're going to kind of sing them a lullaby. And that lullaby, of course, is the opening mantra for Medicine Buddha. Om Mala Sange Ki no Soha. Medicine Buddha, think of me. Look at me. And this mantra is such a mantra of just deep, deep longing, right? This is a way that we can channel our longing, our desire for healing or for liberation, right? Channeling it into this mantra, then offering this to the beings around us. Because all these beings, essentially, these benefactors, are also expressions of Medicine Buddha. Right? Any being who comes in deep love and an ethic of liberation for us are always emanations of the Buddhas, or always emanations of the mother, right? The sacred mother, the sacred father of Tara, Chinrezi, right? Of God, even in this context. And this is where so many of us have to engage in the deep healing around the trauma and within the trauma that we have accumulated around the harm that we've experienced from love, from particularly conditional loving, which is really harmful anyway. We have to break through that in certain ways to return back to this expression of unconditional love, free flowing unconditional love from beings that just want us to be free. They don't want anything in return. They just want us to be free. And this is the thing that we understand about the bodhisattvas or the fully awakened Buddhas and other deities is that when you get free from samsara or the partial state, when you get totally free, right, you realize that the most important thing that you could ever offer to any being trapped in this cycle is a pathway to freedom. This is what drives the bodhisattva, the Buddhas, the new saints, right? Is knowing that freedom is the only real expression of love that we can offer people. And when you want yourself to be free from suffering, you know that you are loving yourself. Only beings who love themselves choose freedom. The same thing for Harriet Tubman. She loved herself more than the system of chattel slavery and anti-Blackness hated her. And I wish that for all of you in the spaces that you begin to love yourself more than all these systems that are hating you and trying to erase you, including white supremacy as well. White supremacy is destroying, has destroyed many people. So we reclaim all of this agency by actually developing a deep love and how that love for self manifests as the choice to get free. And how freedom means divesting from systems of violence or identities that have meant violence for so many others. So always you have to know that this is the point of practice, is to awaken this love so you can start choosing freedom. And when you start choosing freedom and liberation, right, then that's when you really, really start doing your work. So turning back to the mantra, Mila Sange, Mila Sange Kino Soha. And as we offer this to our benefactors, we offer it again in the deepest love and longing to get free. And they will hear and respond to this prayer, this mantra, right? And we'll begin by chanting Om, and then going into the mantra 3 times, and then ending with a elongated Om. Okay? You just take a sip of water. Okay, we'll begin inhaling. Om. Om La Sange Kino Soha. Om La Sange Kino Soha. and la sangue kino so oh. So we imagine that all of our benefactors around us begins to respond to this offering, this mantra, and they begin to radiate really brightly, intensely around us. And that light begins to concentrate right into our heart center. And this light collects into like a ball of light, an orb of light, about the size maybe of a golf ball in the heart center. And we don't have to see it or feel it, but just having trust or faith that this is happening is all we really need for this practice. And in this space, I also invite you just to return, or to rather start just reflecting on, again, this desire for healing, how healing is a part of liberation for all beings. And that healing is about kind of remembering, coming back together, right? Calling ourselves in back into wholeness. Just a couple of more moments here, just really awakening and acknowledging and even feeling this deep desire for healing and freedom. And now, so when you're ready, I want you to, and this is something we've never done before, um, but mostly these practices are things that no one's ever done before. But so reflecting on or thinking about the parts of our lives that seem so separate or compartmentalized. Like it's just like here's a piece of me here, here's a piece of me there, here's a piece of me over here, right? The real ways that many of us actually are struggling through fragmentation because we have rarely been allowed to be our full selves in this life. And even more so, we've never been allowed to be our full selves in every space that we move in and out of. Acknowledging that, right? That we're different people, we become different people for different spaces and for different relationships. And sometimes we don't know how to reintegrate all of these different expressions of who we are back into a oneness, into a wholeness. So in this moment, having reflected on this fragmentation, I invite you to call all of the pieces of yourself back into community, into wholeness. And even if you would like doing this kind of gesture, this, you know, kind of mudra, where it feels like, yeah, my fingers are like these different parts of myself. And like when I begin to call myself in, it's like I'm opening up and gathering all these parts of myself. And I say, I gather you back into community, right? And just bringing your palms together, maybe interlacing your fingers and coming to your heart center. So it's as if you're putting all the pieces together and merging them back into your heart center, knowing that this orb of light, this ball of light is still in the heart center. Right. So again, all these pieces of myself, all these fragmentations, all these lost expressions of who I am, I gather. Together, I begin to reassemble and I invite them back into community with my whole self. And especially as some of us are transitioning or moving deeper into this holiday season. It's already been a holiday season, but you know, when we move deeper into this end of the year space, right? Just being intentional about gathering ourselves together as we lean into this transition to another year. And when you feel as if you've you've done enough, you've gathered what you could gather and feel that community forming right back in the heart center. We rest in this, kind of truthfulness or expression of wholeness, or rather, maybe for some of us, the intention of wholeness, right? And from this experience of wholeness, we began to imagine that this ball of light begins to actually transform and manifest as Medicine Buddha. How Medicine Buddha begins to arise right in the heart center here as a symbol or expression of wholeness, which is one of the important ways we understand healing, and also knowing that there is no liberation without wholeness, because nothing can get free fragmented. So sitting with this just for a couple of moments as we will eventually transition into our mantra practice. To call yourself in, to gather yourself in. When you feel gathered, how Medicine Buddha awakens from this gathering activity. And Medicine Buddha just begins to radiate the light of healing, this light, clear light of healing, soft light, clear light of healing through the body. And always reminding you that we're always offering the energy of our practice out to others. We'll transition into our mantra, our main mantra, Teatam Bekenze, Bekenze, Maha Bekenze, Rasa Sumungate Soha. Translation is also there as well. As we begin the mantra, just sitting, just sitting in what this wholeness feels like for you. O Teatam Bekenze, Bekenze, Ma Bekenze, Rasa Sumungate Soha. 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 Teatam Bekenze, Bekenze, Ma Bekenze, Rasa Sumungate 수무가테 소아 대야다 온백은세 백은세 마백은세 나서 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 수무가테 소아 대야다 온백은세 백은세 gante soa te anda begenze begenze ma begenze asumugare 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 soa. So just turning attention to our prayer offerings. And again, calling to the space all the beings who can hold these prayers, all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, the Adams, Dharma protectors, all beings of light, all angels, all the protectors and spirits of all the elements, including the earth, all our benevolent ancestors, all of our descendants, right? Even the expression of our most awakened self, right? We call into the space to hear these prayers, and we offer these prayers to those whom we have invited to move on our behalf to bring about the fulfillment of these prayers. Offering prayers for clarity and courage to keep walking my path. Offering prayers when all beings realize their invisibility of spirit. Offering prayers for my elders, Uncle Charlie, who transitioned in peace and tranquility. Offering prayers that may my children and my children's children find strength and equanimity in the face of what's happening in their world today. Offering prayers for those who feel unloved or alone. May they know they are both. That they are not both. That they are indeed loved and are not alone. Offering prayers for Ginger and all others in Vermont facing heavy rains again after life-altering flooding. May they be safe and housed and warm, and may they feel resourced no matter what comes. Offering prayers for me and my relentless fear of being myself. May I be liberated from these habits of envy and judgment, and I find ease, confidence, and freedom. Offering prayers for my battle with El soften. May my battle with El soften. May I be kinder and more genuine. Offering prayers for CJ undergoing intensive chemo treatments, for comfort, ease, and healing for them, and loving support for their partner and care team. Offering prayers for my heart, and that I can open my heart to humans again. For my adjustment to this new time before my birthday, may all the meditators balance themselves and our planet. For Patrick and his cancers to continue to leave him. Offering prayers for a solution to my relentless, years-long, expensive, complex, and stressful mattress debacle. Oh, please, may it resolve well. Offering prayers for those being held hostage in every way. May they be free, may they be well. Offering prayers for the hungry, cold, sick, and disabled. And offering prayers that those I love can be free from fear. Offering prayers for Beth for healing and from betrayal. Offering prayers for me and my continued struggle forming this new version of myself. Offering prayers for those with chronic illness. May we feel patience and occasional joy. Offering prayers for my sick 100-year-old grandmother. Offering prayers for offering prayers for R and her father having health issues. Prayers for 8, may they experience more easefulness as they try to find more stability. Prayers for my family, may the cycle of violence be disrupted so everyone can get what we need. Prayers for Gaza, Sudan, Congo, and Tigray, and for an end to colonial violence and occupation everywhere. Offering prayers for the healing of my cough, prayers for my body to adjust to the influx of energy in this transition time. Offering prayers for good health into the winter season. Offering prayers for Palestine. May this war end as soon as possible. May Palestine be free. Prayers for equanimity and healing for myself and my family as we spend time together in India. Prayers for healing. Prayers for those who find the holidays and this time of year more generally difficult. Prayers that they find peace and encouragement. Offering prayers for me to heal from COVID. Prayers for my family to grieve and heal and get what they need. Prayers for me to find my next job and continue to move towards freedom and liberation. Offering prayers for my rage. May it serve my liberation. May my mind be, offering prayers that my mind may be stable. May I be of true service. May my actions be clear and strong. Offering gratitude for my Sangha. Offering gratitude for recent prayers being answered. Offering prayers for the loneliness, for my loneliness. Offering prayers for all beloved, seen and unseen, and especially for dear Francis, who left us 3 years ago today. Offering prayers for my heart, may it be taken care of and held as it deserves to be held. And offering prayers for Gloria and Josh, prayers for Rajesh as he is hurting from loss, and from Manoj, who just passed. Prayers for myself as I navigate and accept love in my relationships. Offering prayers for my beloved, may they know they are deeply loved, that they are worthy of love, and may they be free. Offering prayers for Nicole and Catan as they live with and heal from cancer. Offering prayers for Greg and Don in the late stages of cancer, for all who have been displaced from their land, and for me, that I may find a new job that's a good fit soon so I can relax into stability. Offering prayers for my chosen family, for Palestine, and for all those engaged in deep communal care work along my path and beyond. For my partner and I as we learn to communicate and love one another better. Offering prayers for Allison and her son Louis, for Mahan and Janice recovering from age-related accidents. For Baker dealing with profound pain due to compressed vertebrae. May she have all the help she needs. For my son, may he find a good balance in life that supports him emotionally and spiritually. Offering prayers for everyone in the terrible conflict in Gaza and Israel. May some solutions we can't even imagine arise. Offering prayers for myself with pain associated with knee and knee surgery coming up in January. Offering prayers for Matthew and Marola, who lost their father-in-law unexpectedly. May they have comfort in their grief. Offering prayers for the Levi and Loudon family. Offering prayers around healing over receiving public critique that has left me with self-doubt. Prayers for staying connected to self-love. Offering prayers for the relief of my physical and emotional pain. And offering prayers for all of those who are physically ill. Offering prayers for my family and our relationships with each other. Offering prayers for Prince, the dog who entered the bardo this week. Offering prayers for Brian that he may have the courage and compassion to dance with his Mara and become free. Offering prayers for myself and all of us that during that first spark of any conflict, we remain connected. Offering prayers for myself as I move through system oppression at work, where there is much profession of mindfulness practice. May we all be free. Offering prayers for the family and friends of Beth Bosworth, a beautiful young woman who was murdered 34 years ago today. And we just make a general offering or general prayer for all of us as we enter deeper into this year, as we continue to move through our own grief and hopelessness and rage and despair, but also praying for joy and gratitude and happiness and space to hold us as we move deeper into this relationship with these very potent energies. We're praying for the freedom of all people, for all people to be liberated from any occupation, from any conflict, may any system or institution that gets in the way of all of us, any of us, getting the resources that we need to be well, happy, and free. May those systems and institutions be completely abolished. May we awaken our hearts, and in awakening our hearts, awakening the deep desire, the deep truth that all beings must be free, and that we commit to this freedom work. And for all those gathered here in this space right now, and particularly for all the prayers that are unarticulated, that have not been offered, I pray that those prayers are held and tended to by all the beings we've asked to gather here. May you take those prayers and bring about the benefit of all connected to this prayer. May we all get free as quickly as possible. As we return back into our mantra work, just for a couple of minutes, we're going to imagine that this expression of Medicine Buddha in our heart centers, and as Medicine Buddha has been radiating through our bodies, that we actually begin to radiate outward from our bodies into the whole world, into the whole universe, radiating this light of healing into the lives and situations of all beings. Imagining that every being in this universe remembers their deep care, their deep love for self, that they remember that they are themselves like us, Buddhas, just trying to remember who we are, so we can return back home, out of suffering, back into the expression of bliss itself. May it be so as quickly as possible. So just returning back to the mantra. O te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumugate soha. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumugate soha. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumugate soha. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumugate soha. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumugate soha. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumugate soha. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumugate soha. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumugate soha. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumugate soha. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumugate soha. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumugate soha. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumugate soha. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumugate soha. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumugate soha. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumugate soha. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumugate soha. Te ada 스무 가지 소와 대야다 온백은세 백은세 마백은세 라스 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 스무 가지 소와 And so just shifting your attention Again, back to the heart center. Offering this last kind of wave of healing energy out to the world. Offering a last wave of energy also to all the prayers that have been lifted up for ourselves, for our beloveds, for the world as well. Making a final prayer that all beings be free from the sorrow of samsara and the carceral state. May all beings get what they need and have what they need to be healthy and happy and safe. Right? May all beings have community, and may all beings know that they are loved. May all beings love themselves, remember their inherent love, that they are all Buddhas, that we are all Buddhas, trying to remember that we are divine beings, instead of being consumed by the suffering. That we get free. May our ancestors get free. May our descendants get free. May all beings get free, both seen and unseen, both form and formless beings. May all beings return back to Buddhahood. Offering this final wave and burst of energy into the world, we turn back to our benefactors, still gathered around us, and we imagine that they dissolve and melt into white light, and imagine that white light being collected into our heart centers. And the medicine Buddha and our heart centers also dissolving into our heart center as well. And knowing in this practice, this kind of dissolving or completion, that these energies, this love, all our benefactors, all the Buddhas are just here with us all the time. To carry this into the spaces and the situations we find ourselves in. Returning our attention back to the seat now, noticing the weight of the body, the seat still rising to hold you. And we thank the seat for holding us during this practice. And offer gratitude to any expression of your practice, anything that's helped. Offering gratitude to the earth, to the seat, to our bodies, to our breath, to all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, all the beings who love us, offering gratitude to all of our lineages and our communities, offering gratitude to the ancestors, offering deep gratitude to our descendants. Just offering gratitude to all beings. It doesn't have to make sense. You just do it. So live your life in deep gratitude. Not just say, I am grateful. I am grateful. I am grateful. You don't have to know what you're grateful for, just saying it is important. I am grateful. I am just grateful. I'm just grateful. Maybe just resting for just a moment in this energy of gratitude before we transition to our closing prayer. when you're ready, just re-arising, coming back into the space, and go ahead and just start reawakening your body. Do a little shimmy, do a little shake it off. Right? You can use the methods of Taylor Swift or Mariah Carey, though I strongly prefer Mariah Carey to shake it off. I have a sense that Mariah Carey has literally shaken shit off. So turning your attention to Shanta Davis' prayer in the chat box. Chat, chat, chat. Okay. We'll recite this 3 times together. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those,
Those who journey,
and a boat,
a
bridge, a
bridge,
passage for
passage,
those desiring
opening
for the
on
shore.
the shore.
May
May
the
the
pain
pain and heaven of every living creature
be
be
completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the nurse. And may I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, for practice. I'm trying to do as many questions as I can. I thought I was going to finish earlier, but you can add questions to the chat box. If you want to come on screen, I really want to privilege people who've never asked a question. If you've asked a question, or if you're in other spaces with me and you've asked me lots of questions, then I ask you to kind of hold space for others instead right now. Okay. So any questions before we wrap up? Um, as I won't be here next week, but I think there may be a practice group happening. Okay. So
Yep.
still.
Lama
Mhm.
Rod, you mind if I sneak in on that point real quick?
Sure. Uh-huh.
Nothing formal planned yet. People probably have better ideas than I do, but for sure I won't be here next week. But um, for sure I can send out a reminder via Zoom like normal with a link with different settings for next week, so that anyone who would like to join can. There doesn't have to be a tech host. It wouldn't be a facilitated thing. And if anyone would like to like offer practice informally, that's great too. But it'll just be sort of an open space for anyone who would benefit from it.
Thank you, Eric, for that. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So any questions? Anything in the chat? If you want to post it there, I can read it.
Oh, oh.
I hear someone.
Go for it, Flor.
Hi. I am in a space and context where it's very heavy and it's very white. And normally, when I start experiencing this type of energy, I'm like, okay, it's time for me to go. But it feels like I need to do work and keep being on the land that I'm on. And I'm
Mhm.
just trying to figure out how to navigate, what I feel like I'm being asked and I've said yes to in terms of my land. And at the same time, it feels like the human realm is just so yucky. Um, yeah, just curious as to what what comes up for you as you hear that.
You know what comes up for me? Andre Leon Talley. Um, that's a little. I know it's a little random, but literally he just kind of dropped in and was like, "Whoever this is, I can help." I was like, "Okay." Fine. Um, you know Andre Leon Talley, right?
Just a little bit.
I would explore Andre Leon Talley a little more because I think there is a blessing there for you in terms of what you've shared. Andre Leon Talley, his consciousness is becoming very fierce and powerful, and is waiting for people to connect with him more. And I've been getting these stories from other people. So it's not just me making this up. Like people are coming to me and telling me this. And maybe because I wrote a practice for him in New Saints. That maybe that's how you realize how you strengthen beings is by developing liturgy and practices, that help more people connect to them, and that's something that builds their strength in the, spirit world, what have you. But anyway, um, what I would say beyond Andre Leon Talley, my expression here is, um, this is, the density of what you're feeling is absolutely on point. This is a dense period. It feels very heavy. The energy feels just like really like concrete sometimes. It's like thick like mud or something like that. And this is why we have to really get into moving energy, right? And what that looks like is movement, actually literally physical movement work, exercise, walking, pranayama, breath work, or, asana, yoga practice, right? Just movement, breath, water, right? Drinking water, staying hydrated, visiting moving waters like streams and lakes and oceans or wherever you have access to. Like, that's important to personally support us right now in keeping things moving. Seven homecomings practice, moving into these spaces and just literally imagining that you're just like held by this solid barrier of benefactors, right? Um, Consciously disrupting the ways in which we're unconsciously absorbing energy around us. Like I was out in a public space today running errands, and like, yeah, as a high functioning empath, which is what I'm saying right now, is I'm a high functioning empath, just to keep it simple. Like no, I can move through space and get and feel everything that people are feeling. And then in that moment, when I notice that, I say, you know what, these aren't my narratives, right? This isn't mine. And I'm constantly saying that this isn't mine. These are other people's experiences, and I don't have to take it on, right? Um, and what else? Yeah, and Andre Leon Talley too. I really, really just like pray to him. Present the same question to him. I mean, he already knows it, but like present it again. You know, um, there's something. He's just like saying, I know exactly how they feel. I can help. So I don't know. Try him out. Andrea Lantal is like the fairy godmother, literally. Like how like Billy Porter was in that last Cinderella movie, you know. And I appreciate the effort. This is not a shade or read. But anyway, but literally, Andrea Lantal is like a very, well, I mean, godmother, godfather, whatever, you know, elder, fierce elder who's here, who's resourced actually to support people. I've taught these practices before as well. The practices of connecting to beings who've passed on that we feel deeply inspired by, going back, connecting to their consciousness, calling that energy back. We've done this several times in different spaces, including here, I think, in Medicine Buddha. Right? Okay, so try that and see what happens. Um, any other questions? Anything in the chat?
Hey, Lama Rod.
Hey.
Thank you for all of your beautiful offerings. My question's on a very similar vein. I'm finding that as I engage in my healing work and step more into my power and my full embodiment of my energy, the spirits are coming to me and clinging to me, and I don't have a lot of
Yeah.
feels around that yet. I have a teacher in person who I just found, so that's really helpful. But I'm having a really hard time with boundaries right now and feeling clear and feeling like myself because there's so much energy around me, and particularly like my back is really unprotected. And
Yes.
so I'm just wondering if you have anything to offer around that.
Yeah. Well, that's important to point out. Like when you begin to awaken to certain capacities, particularly sensitivity to energies and particularly intelligent energies that we would call consciousness or spirit or have you what have you. There's a physical there's a physical correspondence to the awakening of this capacity, and you can feel parts of your body that need to be protected, like the back. My back isn't, I don't, my back gets sensitive not because it's unprotected. I can feel sensitivity in my back, um, feeling as if, and I talked about this in New Saints, but feeling as if like I'm carrying a lot of beings right now. And that's when I feel that, and this is the same case with you, you have to return back to a kind of fierceness around boundaries. Like you have the agency, you have the power to set the boundaries around you, right? And I think part of it is that you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Too, like beings are coming to you, they need help, and it feels like we're betraying them when we say not today, not not right now. But like you have to understand that um, they have a lot of time. You- we're moving through the illusion of conceptual time, right? And the physical body, right? And all this is happening. So that means we have to actually take care of ourselves and pace ourselves, right? And not get overwhelmed by the real needs of the unseen, right? So really, I just want you, let's see, I want you to have like a talk tonight before you go to bed. Um, and just this talk is for all the energy around you. And you just have to just lay out the rules. You have to be like, listen, I'm tired. I want to help. I want to be present, but I just can't be open 24/7, right? Um, and you ask that this request is taken seriously, but then you pray to your benefactors, your homecoming circle, and you ask them to support these boundaries on your behalf, right? Everyone has different boundaries. I I let beings come to me in dreams, but some people don't. They're like, when I'm dreaming, it's for other things. But you can set, again, the boundaries are like, this is when you can come, this is when I'm present, this is when I'm not present. And this can change day to day, you know. But you have to get over of hurting people or hurting beings or hurting their feelings. You have to kind of move past that, because if you're not resourced, then you can't help anyone. You know, so set those energetic boundaries really clearly. Have that conversation and say, I can't be present. I need you to maintain space. And then you ask your benefactors, your protectors, to reinforce these boundaries for you. And when you're feeling resourced, this is for anyone, right, who has this capacity, you can set up like office hours, where you're just like, okay, listen, this is the space. You light a candle, right, to welcome, like the candle, like you can create, you can what's the word? Choose or select different like objects, ritual objects that communicate something. So what I'm trying to say is that like you can use, for instance, candles and different kinds of candles to signify what kind of work you're opening the shop for right now. So I have wrathful candles. I have a candle for one specific being that I work with, and they know that this is their summoning candle, and this is when that candle's going, it's our time. So you can do that, but get it really specific. So it's like training. Like people don't know what the boundaries are until you tell them and reinforce them, and then beings get it. They're like, okay, I just can't roll up on you whenever I want, you know. So yeah, so try some of that, right? And then also for your back, offer those prayers for protection of your back. Get your benefactors on top of that, you know. Get them, just because sometimes our guides, and benefactors and so forth don't know what we're struggling with until we articulate it. They're not necessarily omniscient beings that just know what's happening. We have to be very clear about what we need. And then we allow those beings who have self-selected to be with us, to accompany us through this journey, or a mission, this is like a mission right now. They have chosen to be with us, and this is an honor to ask them to do work, right? It's the same thing with you. Like when I go and help someone and they don't need my help, and I get really offended. It's like I showed up, I took time on my schedule and you don't need me, but many of you are afraid to actually ask for the level of help that, you're afraid to really understand or explore the level of help you really need, because you're so self-identified with helplessness. And when you start becoming powerful, then there's a responsibility and power and resourcefulness. The more you awaken to your resources, the more you understand the work that you're being called to do, and that can be scary. Some of you want to play it really small, but this isn't a time to play small. This isn't a time to hide our light under a bushel. This is a time to start blazing and setting shit.
Lama Rod, can I ask a follow-up question?
Absolutely, anytime. Just cut me off because I'm
Okay.
I'm reading other people in the space now, so like let's give me focus.
Yeah, I guess I think what I'm struggling with right now is do I need to ask for more help?
Yes.
Do I need to get more specific about
Yes.
who I ask?
Yes. Yeah, you can. Absolutely.
Because I'm kind of struggling with this idea of do I just put out the general call and be like, who's gonna show up for me? Or do you think it might be more helpful to maybe ask specific deities or I don't know, just like specific individuals to show up.
Both are fine. Like it's up to you. Like
Hmm.
sometimes I'm like Tara, this is who I'm talking to, Tara. I need whatever you can give me, Tara, right? But it changes, right? So it's kind of explore that, because both are really impactful, really powerful practices. But if you feel like you want to connect more specifically to specific beings, do that. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, but this is I don't want to keep going on and on, but it's so much in the questions, right? But so many of you are awakening. You're beginning to become aware of like I don't know, deepen capacities, right? I would say abilities. This is how the universe is working. Like the universe doesn't just throw, I don't know what the universe is, but like here's another way to explain it. Like this is about balance, right? So the relative is driven by balance. We're off balance right now. Like this is what the apocalypse is. It's the recognition of imbalance and coming back into balance, which is very painful and intense, right? And because balance is really important, there are resources that will start coming online to bring us back into balance. Those resources can include us. We become beings who are awakening to different capacities to bring the collective back into balance. There are beings awakening or returning back to this world who are here to help with the balancing. Um, there's some old energies, old ancient energies, actually from other worlds, um, that are here awakening, because there are a lot of people um, doing a lot of portal work right now. It's kind of a secret, invisible practice, but if you, frankly, if you practice with me, you've been opening portals. And thank you for your effort, by the way. I appreciate the help. Um, there are beings opening portals and actually opening portals so beings like light beings, energy beings of light, love can actually come into this world. And then, of course, these same beings are just emanating into the world as people, as well as babies. Listen, I know a lot of little kids right now who are already online in a way that I just came online in the past 10 years. Right? My nephew being one of those, I think. I'm just not being partial to him, but I think there's just something, you know, really extraordinary. But anyhow, so anyway, that's it. I know it's all simple and straightforward, but I get it, you know. So anything else? Anything can be added to the chat as well. I guess we'll go to 9, but this is up to Karen and Eric. Okay. I know we usually go to 9, but I've been trying to do better, you know. I'm trying to reclaim my time on Monday nights. Anything else? And of course, anyone can just jump in now. The portals. I love some good portal work. I tell you, I mean, we're opening portals every time we practice. You're opening portals. Like you're feeling something happening in your space. That's a portal. You know. Also, if your house is super haunted, you probably have some open portals as well. You might want to like crank those closed a little bit. Um, Portal work. I don't know. It's not. I don't know if it's like a simple practice. I don't think it's like a beginner's practice, but for me, it's very intuitive, and it feels very natural. Um, so maybe Maybe I'll try to teach portal opening in the future, but it's hard because I just um, it's hard to sometimes articulate what you're doing because you just do it, you know. So we'll get, I'm sure we'll get there. Um, can do, what's this? Can other unwanted beings come through portals that are open? Well, it depends on the portal. Depends on who's opening the portal. It depends on the ritual that people use. Yeah, yeah. Of course, you can open portal to any dimension. Um, I mean, there are a lot of like, if you're in this kind of spiritual scene, like it's people are talking all kinds of shit, about everything. And some of the stuff I'm like, yeah, I get that, and some of the stuff, of course, I put out, right? Of course, I'm a perpetrator in putting out all this stuff as well. Um, but some people believe, and I kind of am on this side of things. People believe that huge, like really intense world tragedies can be linked to portals, to certain portals being opened and certain beings influencing what's happening. So that's really interesting. But there are a lot of open portals that shouldn't be opened, around. Some people in like the kind of paranormal community believe that you have to have specialized training to do portals. I think I get, I agree with that to an extent, um, but it's hard for me because it's so natural. So I'm like, oh, I can, this is just kind of what I do. But I get the difficulty of working with portals as well. If you're in a space with a lot of activity, it's probably open portals. Um, I think, as always, it's like if when in doubt, ask the Buddhas. you know, when in doubt, ask Tara. I mean, whoever feels accessible, Medicine Buddha, right, can also work with portals. Like if you feel like that's a problem, just pray. Pray to your guides, pray to the Buddhas, the deities, whomever you're in a relationship with, and ask for something to change. Uh, Portal teaching, I've experienced things that can be great to understand. Yeah, sure. Um, yeah, well, Sister Sandata and I are going to Ireland this winter to do some work like this. So I'm excited to deepen my understanding of Gaelic magic traditions on the land, and also Scottish, Irish, Scottish traditions. But yeah, I can talk more about portals as well. And there are just some naturally occurring portals as well. But I think there's people who are opening portals without even being aware of them as well. Uh, Portals can be opened from deep love as well. I mean, love is such a potent energy to use in ceremony anyway, in ritual. Well, and so is hate, by the way. Sometimes it's hard to determine which one some people are using right now to do work. But yeah, love, the deep wish for beings to be free creates, it moves, and love and hate are really powerful forces that moves energy. We can say that they're energy themselves, but there is more like the intention that shifts the energy, because these are really powerful. Of course, love is more powerful, right? Love is about connection, wholeness, and hate is about disconnection and isolation and aversion, you know, um, but still very strong, right? Love is the only force that can overcome hate, that can dissolve and hold hate. Love can hold anything. Love is like water that can hold the intensity of anything. Maybe you can call hate like fire. Like love as water can hold the raging of hate and diversion. Anyhow, um, and yeah, and so thank you, Eric, for posting this. In the UK, I know some of you are in the UK. I do have two retreats: the Dharma Spring Awakening and Autumn Moon. So spring and autumn retreats, and we do a lot of this kind of like work. The UK retreats are really very unique and different than the retreats. Maybe I would say if you do Southern Dharma with me every year, the UK retreats are similar to the Southern Dharma. Very much land based, very much about the land and the beings on the land. But in the UK, it's really something we're really working with the magic. It's very potent in the land. I know I have to like just thank Sister Sadada for like helping me to understand that because she does a lot of practice in Ireland with the Saint Bridget. She's a devotee of and Bridget being, a Gaelic tradition, but also like an expression of the mother. So she really helped me to understand the potency of the magic in the UK, all over the UK, and the imperialism that sits right on top of it. But anyway, that's another talk, another day. Whole of holding. Can you distinguish the metaphysics that underlies the discussion of portals? Um, well, portals are doorways into other dimensions. I mean, that's as simple as I can get. There are ways in which we cut into other places. I mean, not cut, but like, but sometimes you can cut. But it's the way that like you're opening into another frequency, and that frequency manifests as an opening. A doorway, a pathway that beings can move in and out of. I mean, that's pretty much what it is, you know. And there are a lot of magic traditions that really rely on portals, right? Um, People seem to be, portals to hell, portals to heaven, but like, and another way of saying that, doorways to realms of light and doorways to realms of darkness, which all exist. Depending on what you're trying to make happen, you open the doorway. But there are certain beings that people are trying to connect to, and they're always trying to figure out the portal to get there. Like you can reference Hereditary, the movie, as a reference to that. Um, Again, a lot of these movies, you think they're fiction, but they're actually documentaries. You should pay attention. Um, and some of them are just shit as well, so. Are there such thing as soulmate? Oh my God. So twin flames. Who's obsessed with twin flames? The documentary and the cult. I'm obsessed.
I watched that. Sorry, I'm paying for you. I watched that the second it came out.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, like, what is this? Like, I'm like enthralled, right? Um, I I don't necessarily believe there's one person, right, that we can connect. I think there are multiple. I don't know what. I don't have like I can't quantify that, but like I think there are several beings that we have deep karmic relations with, and we have that. We've had that over many lifetimes, and we become in and out of relationship. You know. I'm gonna answer one more question. Um, The Twin Flame is a well, it's a cult now, but it's a documentary on Netflix and Amazon too. So I have one private question I'm going to get to. Um, so this question is, have I seen Lovecraft Country? And if so, what did I think about the depiction of portals and magic and monsters and the relationship to struggle? I think Lovecraft Country was very busy. I think it was doing a lot. I know a lot of people really liked it. I know Aja Marie Brown really liked Lovecraft Country. She got me into it, and during the quarantine. But I think there was just a lot to process in the plot, and I wish they would have slowed it down because I think there's some real legit questions that we need time to kind of process. It was just like one thing after the other. And I was just like, I need a break from all of this. But the magic itself, I think, is really important to understand that like magic has always been a part of liberation struggles. Like it may not have been studied or written about, but you talk about the Haitian Revolution to even like anti-slavery abolition and Civil War, like that. There are people doing a lot of magic work, right, in different forms. So I think those are things that we can acknowledge as well. Okay. Um, but the last thing I'll say about uh, Lovecraft Country is um, it reinforces for me the importance of people doing spiritual magical warfare. Like it's the acknowledgement that this is also happening. And we have to have a holistic understanding of this. It's like this is why I say this is more than political warfare that we're experiencing, it's also spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare is also going to bring into the mix magic, you know. You know. Um, there are communities of people who withstood colonialism because of their magic, and rituals and ceremonies, So like that, this is important, and this is why it's so important for me to return back to these ancestral practices and to connect to other lineages and paths, because I want to have a deeper understanding of how to move through this period. That's not just about organizing and voting, but it's also about these real things that are happening in and around us. And for me, Buddhism has given me permission to explore these things. Okay, well, that's it, everyone. Thank you so much. I'll see you when the Western Gregorian calendar switches over. And remember the practices, be well, and I'll see you in wherever I see you, right? All right, be well. May we all be free, right? And just keep holding on to each other and just rooting in the love. Never forget the love right now. All right, thank you, everyone.